Hello and welcome back to Sea Red UK. We're quite simply a Chicago Bulls thing. Wherever you're listening, as long as it's available, rate, review, subscribe. Helps us out, ensures you don't miss another episode. And if you are listening, why not hop over to YouTube where you can watch us and subscribe as well. I'm Matt, and as usual, joined by Neill. How you doing, Neill?
I'm very good, thank you. Sun is shining, in good form. Not sure that we've got too much to talk about. It's fairly lean in the way of Bulls news at the moment, but sure, we'll do what we can.
Yeah, it's still that crazy point of this off
Mm.
season, isn't it? Plenty of rumours going around. Obviously, it's draft week as well. And that's where we're going to start with the draft. Obviously, it's 1 o'clock Friday morning for us.
Yep.
Um, as far as I'm aware, we're both planning on getting up to watch it.
Well, I'll be just finishing work about an hour before it, so I'll just stay up and keep going.
Yeah, I'll be getting up to watch it. In the hope that Bulls do something, and that's where we're going to start. Do we think Bulls will do anything? I'll offer that on to you first.
Look, like you say, I hope they do something. I'm not hanging my hat on it. I just don't have enough faith that they're going to really try and pull something out of the bag. But at the same time, there is that chance, that possibility that they could. Um, Obviously, the big target is for them to trade up to get Scoot, whether that's a trade with the Hornets for the number 2 pick, or whether that's a trade with the Blazers for the number 3 pick. I don't know if that's really going to happen, or are we just all hoping and praying for a miracle that probably won't come? But I think there's other options there, maybe a little bit later in the draft that they could possibly do something about. I think number 12 pick is also a Portland pick as well, I think. So that's definitely a tradable option for them.
Yeah, I mean, I I don't know. I just can't see him doing anything. Obviously, since the lottery, it's been all about we need that number 3 pick off Portland. Um, but I mean, there is other options. Obviously, like you say, further down. Obviously Dallas with the 10 picks been mentioned quite a lot.
Yeah.
I think Pacers have got about 3 first round picks, something like that. I think I've seen today. Um, Obviously Wizards have just blown everything up, haven't they?
Yeah.
God knows what route they're going with the draft. Um, my sort of thought is if they are going to do anything, it's going to be for that 23 pick, which is obviously Portland's via the Knicks. And I think it's just a case of getting the restrictions lifted on the pick that we've got from them. So maybe not a trade as such, but work out a way of lifting the limitations on it, and then we get that 23rd pick. So 23 and 23.
Yeah. I see
We're
what
into
you're
it.
doing there. Okay. It makes sense. Um, I'll be honest, I haven't looked far enough down the draft to kind of see what kind of a player would be potentially there at 23 of you. Is that something you've been able to have a look at, or is that something you haven't entered
Uh,
into yet?
no, I mean, I've heard a couple of other sort of podcasters doing, the people that they expect to fall that low. It's one of them things, isn't it? How do you know?
You
Apart
know,
from Wemby and Scoot, and then there's maybe what 3 or 4 straight after them.
yeah,
After that, it's a complete minefield, isn't it? You know what I mean? That
yeah.
there's no guarantee that Wemby or Scoot actually turns out to be the player that you know.
No, no, there's
Um,
not.
so yeah, to me, I don't know. I can't. All of the latest rumors as well that are coming out, it just seems like they're not going to do anything. The players that they've worked out seem to be players they're probably expecting to go undrafted, if
Mhm.
not in the second round. Go down that route again. The Justin Lewis sort of pick up a diamond in the rough sort of thing and hope that they turn into something. Um, because obviously we haven't even got a second round pick, have we?
No.
So I'll be watching the draft in the hope that something does happen, that
Mhm.
we've actually got something to talk about and a player to welcome to Chicago. But I'm not going to hold my breath at the same time.
Yeah, because the draft cap, for the night, done the rounds in one of our groups there today, and it's pretty nice. So it would be at
Yeah.
least good if it got pulled out of the bag for one player somewhere along the line, at least.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously there's moves been made already, isn't there? With the Bradley Beal
Mhm.
trade, and
Yeah,
obviously it's led to a lot of other rumours, which we'll get into in a minute. Um, but it's always these rumours are coming from reporters that have spoke to league sources or execs around the league, and it's like until it comes from AK or Eversley, not interested. Do you know what I mean? It's
yeah,
you get it all the time, don't you? These league sources have said this, execs have said this, and then nothing comes of it.
no,
And I think the fact that I don't know. I don't see him making a move to get into the draft. I just don't think that's the route they're going.
yeah. Well, talking about the whole league sources, and you want to hear it from Eversley and AK, you could be left waiting. I mean, we're still waiting to hear about Billy Donovan's official official statement to come out about his extension.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, well, I guess we'll talk. We hadn't planned to talk about it, but what's your opinion on that Beal and Suns trade?
Well, one of the coaches that I coach with here at the weekends, she's a big Suns fan, and she's not happy about what the moves the Suns have been making. And now she wasn't aware of the fact that that was finalized at that stage. It hadn't been finalized when I was talking to her, but she didn't want it to go ahead. But then she's a
Right.
big CP3 head, so she didn't want CP3 to go. So speaking to a Suns fan, that's not too happy about the situation. I don't know how many more fans are going to feel the same kind of way, but um, I don't know. I mean, I just don't like the fact that a player had that much single power and choice over his own destiny. I
Mm.
just don't think that that's the way that it should be. I really hope that the league don't go that direction. It looks like they're trying to pull away from that being able to happen again in the future, which is a good thing, I think. But the fact that Beal could kind of pick and choose and say no, I don't want to go there, or no, I don't want to go there, no, I want to go there. You're gonna have to make that happen. I don't know. I don't know that I like that. In regards to the actual trade itself, I mean, I wouldn't be one bit surprised if CP3 ends up back in Phoenix. Um, he could easily get waived and then sign back on what the veteran minimum.
Well,
Wouldn't
they've got a lot of room off.
well, no, that's true, but yeah, yeah. I just wouldn't surprise me if something along those lines materialized. But no, I'm not a huge fan of the whole thing. I think it just leaves a sour taste anyway. The whole idea of a player being able to control too much for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big Bradley Beal fan anyway. I think he's a solid enough player,
Mm,
not worth the contract he's got, money wise. Spends a lot of time out injured,
mm,
and I think this whole super team that they seem to be building in Phoenix, it's not going to be a super team because you got KD who takes his 6 weeks injury a season. Obviously Bradley Beal that's out a lot of the season. DeAndre Ayton doesn't want to be there. Booker picks up like hamstring strains quite a lot of the time, misses games. So any one of them players drops out for any reason, they've got no depth now, have they?
no,
I think I heard today they've got something like 9 roster spots to fill with something like 10 million before they go into band two of the luxury tax or whatever it is. So yeah, fair enough. The new owners, quite happy to throw the money at it, but
Mhm.
it, it's not going to work, is it?
Well, historically, there's not that many teams that build these super teams and just throw money at it that end up successful at the end of it all. I mean, most of the time we can all, looking on from a distance, see the writing on the wall and kind of see how it's going to fall apart. And to be honest with you, I mean, I can see it again. So could be wrong, but I don't think it's going to pan out well for Phoenix.
Yeah, there's not many KD super teams that end up working well, is there?
No, no, for
Hence
whatever
why I don't
reason.
like KD. So yeah, that was obviously the rumors come out last week, didn't it? That Wizards were looking to move Beal or get him out of the team.
Hmm.
Um, which then led to rumors about our very own Zach Levine. Now, obviously, the initial rumors come out in that Jake Fisher article about um, Bradley Beal, and there was a small part in there that said about Bulls were looking to gauge value on Zach Levine. Now, obviously, another reason for you to subscribe to our YouTube channel is we dropped some couple of short videos on our own opinion last week. Obviously, we didn't put them to audio for the podcast, so yeah, go check them out. And obviously, since then, it's just spiraled and spiraled and spiraled, and it this whole Zach Levine talk. And I think today there's something else come out from Jake Fisher about they've actively been ringing other teams to see if they're interested in Zach Levine. And
But I think
I
something
mean,
came
like,
out from Jake Fisher today saying that Portland have now said that Zach Levine won't get it done for the number 3 pick.
yeah. So that's where I'm at with the whole draft thing. If Zach's not going to get it done, we've got nobody else that's going to get it done, have we? Do you know what I mean?
No.
Unless you go to Hornets, which God knows what's going on at Hornets after MJ's just sold them, and mess of a franchise as it is, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
um, yeah. So, I mean, these rumors come about every off season, don't they? With regards to these sort of players like Zach and what have you. And I kind of flip between the two about would I do it or would I not. And the main thing for me, if you are going to do it, you've got to value Zach where his value is. And I think a lot of Bulls Nation undervalue Zach from the fans' point of view. And you've got to kind of hope that management do value him. And obviously, Casey Johnson's put a piece out where with the price expected for Zach. And it was, well, it's come from league sources, apparently. One league source has said that they'll take, I've got it wrote down, one young player and multiple firsts and then cap filler. And another league source has said a first round pick and a high end established player. So I don't know. Is it Bulls are doing what they did with AC, where they're saying that they're going to move him, but they're basically pricing him out of a move?
Possibly.
Or, is it all legit? You just don't know, do you? And
No, I just find it very hard to believe that they're looking to shop him that hard when they signed him to the max deal only a year ago. Yeah, it makes sense to value him. It makes sense to try and find a way of digging themselves out of the hole that they're in. But at the same time, I mean, you do, and I said this in my little short that I put out, you run the risk of upsetting Zach and then Zach
mm,
wanting out anyway because he's so annoyed that his worth isn't being appreciated within the franchise. So if
yeah,
the Bulls organization don't appreciate him and he feels underappreciated, we could lose him anyway. So you've got to be careful. It's a thin line for the Bulls to try and walk down at the moment. It really is. Fair enough. Find out his value and decide if there is anything out there that is worth doing. But at the same time, not to the detriment of losing Zach mentally from the team anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, he's already come out and said that he gets annoyed with these constant trade rumors, and
Yeah.
Obviously we had it at trade deadline with this made up Knicks one that obviously nothing come to fruition. Um, and you'd like to think that when these rumors come out, AK's on the phone to him and saying, "Look, it's not. We're not doing it." Or go the other way and be completely honest with him and say, "Yeah, we are." You know what I mean? So at least Zach knows where he's at.
Mm.
Um, because he'll hear the rumors just as much as everybody else. Do you know what I mean? And if the team are actively looking at trading him, then surely they should be telling him that as well, rather than so. But then obviously you run the risk of not finding a trade and you've upset him.
Yeah, exactly.
So to me, all this is just it needs nipping in the bud by AK
Mm.
in terms of Zach. Do you know what I mean? Not necessarily to the fans because it's not going to stop, is it? Do you know what I mean? There's always going to be a report coming out with a league exec or a league source or whatever that
Yeah.
you know yeah, these people might genuinely get told from somebody who's an executive at Portland or wherever. They don't know what's going on in Bulls. Do you know what I mean? I mean, Bulls fans don't know what's going on in Bulls. Bulls players probably don't know what's going on at Bulls.
Don't even know
A
Bulls
lot.
management know what's going on in Bulls half the
Yeah,
time.
I would say a lot of the time, I don't think KK would know what's going
No.
on. Um. So yeah, I mean, where are you at with it then? Would you trade him? Would you build around him?
I think I'm a bit like you. You do flip flop on it a bit, but I don't think that you can get rid of Zach Levine without getting the right return. And if you're not going to get something that you can soundly move forward with, if it's going to make the whole thing kind of tumble down to the ground and let's start again, then no, keep Zach. I mean, build around Zach. That's one thing that still hasn't really happened. They still haven't built a team around Zach for Zach. And I think that's something they need to try while he's in his prime before he gets to the latter end of the contract. Let's do that now. Let's get it moving forward and see, can he be that 1A player, or can he have a year of growing in that role and bring somebody else in them with him maybe in the following season to then chase a chip as it moves forward.
Yeah, and I mean, I said it in my little video last week. Like you just said, they've never really built a team around Zach.
No.
The first however many years he was here, he was playing with Ryan Archie and Denzel Valentine and people like that. And then it's only the last 2 years where they've actually put, or management of whoever it is, has put a team around him
Mm.
that's kind of putting the pieces that he needed there. You've got Demar, another scorer,
Mm.
Vooch, competent big. The things that was missing was a legit point guard, which we got at the back end of last year. Not the best in the league, but Pat Bev, we were a winning team with Pat Bev.
Yeah.
And it did seem to bring the best out of Zach.
Mm.
And I think a lot of Zach's flaws, should we say, are actually the Bulls' flaws, not Zach's, because they haven't put the right pieces around him.
Mm-hmm.
We know he's not the best defender. He's a competent enough defender, I'd say. He has elevated that side of his game.
Yeah, on board, I think.
Yeah. And we know the turnovers that he does. But if you had a legit ball handler, floor general, point guard, whatever, he's not going to have the ball in his hands as much. And it goes to that, what we keep saying, the catch and shoot, the catch and drive.
Yeah.
That's the best version of Zach, not bringing the ball up the court. And then, as much as I love what Damar's done, when you're trying to find the shots for two players like that, yeah, they can both still put up 25 to 30 points a game,
Mhm.
but you're kind of taken away from Zach by going to Demar. Um, and yeah, it's we know what Zach's shortfalls are. And it's like I said again in my video, we saw last year when we had Lonzo out there for them 35 games. That was the team that AK's put together.
Mhm.
That team was put together for Zach. And unfortunately, the point that the player that's fell out is obviously Lonzo with his injury. That's not on AK and that's not on Zach.
No.
That that's just unfortunate. And like I say, when they brought in, obviously they tried it with Goran, didn't work. So they bring in Pat Bev, and we saw a better version of Zach, the best version of Zach, I thought.
Mm.
You know, March he just went crazy, didn't he?
Yeah.
And yeah, people will go to that Heat playing game and say, where was he in that? But they'll forget that it was him that pretty much won us the game against Raptors, as
Yeah.
well as DeAr DeRozan with the screaming. But every player needs a second player there, don't they? And that's what Zach had in that game. So,
Yeah.
um, and it's like you said in your video, if if they are going to trade him, and in your words, where you want a big package for Zach.
Yeah, I'm not always that good at selecting my words. My brain can't always keep up with my mouth.
Obviously, I
You
know
get
what you
my
mean.
point anyway.
You want a big return, a big haul for him, whatever.
Yeah.
And to me, if you trade him, you're pretty much going through a rebuild. So you then have to trade Vooch and Demar, I reckon. And to me, if they could have traded in and got Scoot, then you're rebuilding the team around Scoot.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be rebuilding a team around someone like Scoot with a 34 and a 33-year-old player that you're looking to sign to extensions
Mm.
because their windows their window's closing, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? You need players like Zach who are coming into the prime.
Yeah.
And that's where I go back to the thing of unless it's to better the team, I don't see the point in trading Zach. There's no point in getting a 27 first round pick. Do you know what I mean? Because if you trade Zach away to a contender, you're making them better. So that 27 first round pick, where's it going to be? 25 to 30?
Yeah.
So that's to me, trading for picks just it's a minefield. It don't really work. And then do you really want to get three role players? Like obviously that was it RJ Barrett, Obi Toppin, Evan Fournier.
Yeah.
RJ Barrett, yeah, all right, it's not too bad. But the other two, they're not going to improve the team, are they? So for me, I'd keep Zach, and obviously that goes into how we're going to finish this episode with our game three of Matt versus Neill.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I can't wait for the season to start now, so we stop hearing all these rumours and all that. Yeah, I don't know if you anything else to say on Zach.
No, like you say, Matt versus Neil is going to be quite telling anyway. But um, yeah, I totally agree with you. Unless it's to better the team and to get a player like Scoot, I'm not on for trading Zach. I'd much sooner see them tear it apart the other way through Demar and Vooch rather than Zach. But we'll see how it pans out. I suppose very very soon.
Yeah, and I mean it's like I said as well. If they were to trade and try and trade Zach to try and get Scoot, to me you're putting the team back another 3 years or so
Mm.
because you've got to wait for Scoot to get up to a certain level. I'm not saying he doesn't come in at that level. You just don't know, deal with a draft pick. Um, but does Scoot move the needle for next year? If he was a straight replacement for Zach? I don't think he does. I think he makes the team worse, if anything, until he's fully adapted to the NBA.
Yeah.
And I think how I finished my video as well was be careful what you wish for, because say Zach goes to Lakers as an example, it's probably going to get to conference finals, possibly even the finals, and then we're back to this whole Jimmy Butler scenario now, aren't we?
Yeah.
6 years down the line, saying why did we get rid of Zach?
On the plus
We
side, it might stop people talking about the Jimmy Butler situation for a while because they'd just be talking about the Zach situation. So, every cloud.
Unless he goes to Heat, obviously,
Well, yeah,
and then he's gone to help Jimmy get his ring.
yeah, that's true.
Who's the better player?
Yeah, you'd never know then, would you?
So yeah, that for me, that's I just want the rumours to stop on Zach, and obviously another player we mentioned in all of that then is Vooch,
Mhm.
because there's been rumours about Vooch, and his possible contract extension. Again, it's come from what was it, league execs in the report on Hoops Hype. Uh, 3 years, 65 million, works out to be around about 21.67, something like that,
Yeah.
a year. Obviously, they can structure it so that it's front heavy
Mhm.
and declines and stuff like that. Obviously, last year he was on 22, which was obviously does it drop from 28 the first year of that deal,
Mhm.
something like that. And look, irrelevant of whether we think Vooch should re-sign or not, because I know we both say we have to re-sign him. There's no two ways about that. Would you be happy paying Vooch 21.67, whatever it is, million?
Okay, I've kind of got a double part to this answer. Not really. He's he's declining in skill. He's declining in age. He's probably going to start declining in athleticism. Not that he can jump over much more than the phone book anyway.
He can't decline much further, can
And he could trail the toe as he jumps, maybe. But yeah, so for that reason, I say kind of no. But on the flip side of that, I don't want him to just walk. So if that's what it takes to sign him, then that's what it takes to sign him.
he?
But you've got to look then at this being maybe a 3 or 4 year contract or whatever it is, or 2 year contract, but that you're not going to be fulfilling the entirety of that contract, that you're going to look to move him on at some point down the road rather than waiting for his contract to expire again. That would be the way I'd look at it. It would be signing him over a period of time with the mindset to get rid of him whilst he's on the earlier part of that contract, first year, second year.
So not quite a sign and trade as such, but
It doesn't necessarily have to be a sign and trade. It can be a sign and play him and use him and utilize him and see how it's panning out, and then decide from there to maybe look then at trading him and moving him on for a younger piece.
yeah, I mean, like you say, I'm not particularly happy at that sort of valuation.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to have seen it drop below 20 million,
Yeah.
20 million and below. And it's still not a massive drop, but when you think that his contract's declined from 28 down to 22, the
Mm-hmm.
one that he signed with Magic, to then be offering him just short of 22, yeah, look, like I say, we have to re-sign him. There's no two ways about
Yeah.
that. And yeah, everyone knows he's a player that frustrates the hell out of me. But I do also say that not necessarily Vooch that frustrates me, it's the way the team play him that frustrates me. You know, he's a double machine,
Yeah.
Mr. Consistency, you know what I mean, in terms of playing games. The game he's got, I don't think particularly ages. Like you say, yes, it's going to decline slightly, but when somebody's not jumping, there's less stress on the knees.
Right.
you know, and he's like a poor man's Joker, isn't he? You know what I mean? He just doesn't seem to move. Well, that's how it
Doesn't
appears.
quite
Anyway,
the same
obviously,
results though.
yeah, he is moving, obviously, and we know that he's not the best defensive big, but then sometimes that comes down to who's on the court with him, I think.
Mhm.
You know, if he had a legit four that was consistent next to him that could help defend, if you had got your point of attack defense in front of him, there's not as much pressure on him. So again, that's what my frustration is how the team are playing him. You know, like I said last year, a lot of the time, if P Will can get up and get them boards, if he's the one that's starting at four and help defend so that Vooch isn't having to do as much defense, then but then I think Vooch didn't he lead the league in defensive rebounds last year?
Yeah, I believe so.
So what I mean. I think Vooch's poor looking defense comes from the rest of the team more
Yeah.
than Vooch, if that makes sense.
Well, look at
Uh,
how it looked when we had Lonzo in place. I mean, the
yeah,
defense didn't look half as bad as it did without Lonzo. I mean, it looked like Swiss cheese once he was gone. But up until that point, it looked solid. It looked good, and defensively, we actually did quite well towards the end of the season. Anyway, I mean, we were among the top defenses in the league. It just didn't look that way because
yeah,
once it gets through onto Vooch, he has this tendency to kind of not try and block the shot or get in the way so much as just be ready to get the board if the player misses. But you've got to try and make them miss, and he doesn't really do that.
yeah, yeah. And like I say, you've got to re-sign him because we can't let him walk. It just financially doesn't work.
Mm,
Like, yeah, is it a move where you look to move him next off season after? You don't know, but at least you're in that position to know.
right.
And it kind of goes back to how the Bulls going to do anything because what is it, a week, 10 days after the draft, the free agent window opens, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Obviously, we're already in talks with him. Kind of wanting to see something come out from Bulls now because they can sign him now, can't they? Or they can say that
Yes.
they're signing him.
Yeah.
It can't officially sign the deal until like the 7th of July or something like that, in it, I think it
They
is.
they can coin the agreement type thing.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, it kind of leads me to think they're just going to run it back. The whole thing, just run it back. Um. But try and put a point guard in there.
Yeah. I think that is a distinct possibility. The question is, do they take a point guard from the bench or do they try and get one in from somewhere else?
Yeah. And look, we know that's the position. Well, they need two positions. Don't they really? They need a legit backup four
Hmm.
if they're going to go with P. Will at that position, and they need a point guard. I'd say they need a point guard more.
Yeah, I think so.
Uh, but we've got very slim pickings.
Yeah,
Because we've got no cap. Is it about 12 million on the MLE they've got to play with? Something like that, depending on what sort of deals they do with Vooch and Kobe and Io and stuff like that.
yeah.
What sort of players are actually going to get them? But yeah, that's where my head's at the minute. Obviously, I can't see him doing anything in the draft. If it is, I think it's for the 23rd pick. I don't think it's going to be for a lottery pick. Um, I can just see him running it back. And like we've said before, the player that not that you want to see moved, but seems to make more sense to move is Demar.
Hmm.
I don't think they move him until at least the trade deadline. Or by that point, they're looking at extending him anyway. I just think they're going to run it back, bring in a point guard, and evaluate.
Well, I just hope that whichever point guard it ends up being, and from wherever they find them, whichever rock they pull them out from under, that point guard is capable of saying to Demar, "Oi, Demar, I'm carrying the ball. I'm the general on this team," and stop him from doing this, like you said before, the spider crawl, where he goes down bent over with the ball, really slow, brings it down the court, and I mean, by the time he actually gets to the 3-point line, half the shot clock has expired anyway. So I prefer to move the ball a bit faster. We've got a lot of young pieces, and I think it would suit Zach better. It would suit the rest of the team better if it just moved that little bit faster.
Yeah, and like we've said previous, I think we said it again on the last episode. Improve from within. I think is going to be a big thing for him. Whether that's Ayo getting his confidence back, P Will actually realizing he's an NBA player, Dale and Terry getting minutes would help. And I think Dale and Terry's part of the reason why they're not going to go into this draft, or try to get into this draft, because he's essentially going to be that rookie, I think. And obviously, with the way that the cap is, you've got to add another guaranteed contract into it. Obviously, a rookie scale contract, and do they want to go down that route? Unless it's for obviously a big level rookie.
Yeah, that's the thing. I guess you're right.
Yeah.
It's all about paring it back and trying to grow it at the same time, which is no mean feat, to be fair.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if you've got anything else on Zach, Vooch, the draft.
No. I just want to see something, and I'm afraid that they're going to do nothing. Here at Sea Reg UK, we have our ongoing partnership with Victory Sports UK. Victory Sports UK is a UK-based sports apparel and equipment store where you can get your NBA and other sporting goods. Get kitted out in your favourite team gear and rep your squad all summer long. And all Sea Reg UK group members and followers can avail of a special discount code for 15% off their entire range, including products already on sale. Just make sure you're liking and following Sea Reg UK on Twitter, or become part of the Sea Reg UK group on Facebook to receive your exclusive discount code upon request. Visit victorysportsuk.co.uk to seal your victory with Victory Sports UK. Go on and check it out. You know, it makes sense.
So on that, like I say, we're going to go into game 3 of Matt versus Neill.
Aye.
With another draft. You won game 1, and I blew you out in game 2.
Yeah, you threw me. As soon as you picked Jimmy, that was it. My brain was gone. I couldn't find my thought processes at all, and I never thought in a million years you'd pick Jimmy. But yeah, then just to really confuse me altogether, you threw LeBron in at the end, and that was me completely done.
Yeah, I think the Jimmy pick went down quite shocking with anyone who listens as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
I think we threw a lot of people. But anyway, I'll come up with this draft, so I guess I'll read out the rules.
Yeah, this one's yours.
Like I say, it's build around Zach. So, as we both said, we don't particularly want to see him moved, so why not build a team around him? So we can both have, obviously, we're both going to have Zach in our team. And we will snake draft the rest of the players. And they can be, obviously, current Bulls players, traded for players, or players through free agency. If you were to pick Marco, for example, I can't have him in my team, but I can use him in a trade. So, and the traded players coming in, or the free agents, we can't have the same ones either.
Right.
There'll be a 6th man picked as well, obviously, to make it 5 picks. Yeah, I think that was all the rules we went through, wasn't it?
I think so. It's pretty muddy, but we'll get there.
Yeah, the trades, they've got to be legit, realistic.
Yeah.
And in terms of free agents and trying to keep the salary, realistic, we're going to go off last year's salaries rather
Yeah,
than what they could projectedly get if they were to get picked up by another team. Obviously, like Kyle Kuzma, for example, he's opted out of his deal with Wizards. You know, we're not interested in what he's going to get. He was on 13 million last year, so
right.
yeah.
Now,
Uh,
just a provision there. I didn't actually take note of salaries as I was doing it. I was running everything through a trade machine to make sure that it was all viable trades. So anything I do come up with has been run through a trade machine, but I don't have the actual finances written down.
yeah, I mean, if there's anything too unrealistic, we'll call it.
Cool veto.
Yeah.
Right.
So over to you for the lottery. Who
All
gets
right.
number one?
Here we go.
You've had the last two, haven't you? So
Yeah. So you're definitely due one. Here we
I
go.
mean, in the warm up, you got it as well, didn't you?
I wasn't actually paying attention, but yeah, did I? Okay, here we go. Here we go. So you're definitely due one, but not tonight. I'm going to do the lottery tonight, I think. Okay.
Right, so you get number one, and then we go into the snake.
Now this
Oh,
number one pick killed me last week. So, all right. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I am going to. I'm going to start with my sixth man,
right.
and I'm going to go with AC.
Interesting. He was on my list. I I really don't know what to do. I find it
Good.
difficult because is it a complete rebuild or do we run it back?
You tell me. What way are you going to do it?
Right. I've got a load of trade options, but I just don't know which way to go with the team. I'm going to sort the point guard position out to start with, I think,
Okay.
and going for a cheap option from free agency.
Mhm.
And I think I mentioned him before, Dennis Schroeder.
Yes, from the Lakers.
Yeah, he was only on around about 2.6 last year. So obviously fits well within our available budget.
Right.
Um, I don't think he's the best option if it was to happen realistically,
Hmm.
but I think he is a viable option at the same time.
Okay.
So obviously he's going at the point. I will throw myself now. I'll go my sixth man.
Okay.
See what move you do next to then work out mine. And I am going to go Kobe at sixth man.
Okay. So over to me. All right. So I am going to go for my. Now I'm going to have to make. I'm going to play the clever, right? So if I take a trade, the trade out and the trade back in are two goes. Is that right? Or what way does that work?
Well, so you've got the next two picks, aren't you? So if you put a trade out that involves one Bulls player going out and then two coming in, they
Yeah.
can be your next two picks
Okay.
if that's how you
Nice.
want to play it.
Let's do that then. Okay. So I am going to trade Demar
Standard.
standard to, to the Detroit Pistons for Jaden Ivey and Bojan Bogdanovic.
So Ivy would be your point guard
Correct?
and Bojan would be your three.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, there were two players I looked at actually. This is where I was getting confused with what to do with my two picks in a row, shall we say?
Yeah,
And I ain't got any options now.
excellent.
Right. Um, do I need three, four, and five? I need
I
to get rid
actually
of the mark.
thought I actually thought you were going to rattle these out. But
Right, I'm gonna trade the mar.
standard.
Yep. Not quite sure how the salaries and all that match up. Was he on 28 last year?
Yeah, I think it's
Something like
28.
that. So the main piece coming back in the trade is OG Ananobi. He was on
Okay.
about 18. So obviously there'd have to be another 10 million made up. But that player or them pieces will just end up being role players. So they're not going into my starting five or as my sixth man. So the main piece is OG to play my three.
Okay.
And with my next pick, I am gonna go. See, I'm struggling. Number five. I'm gonna go Vooch at five.
Damn. I was going to stick with Vooch too.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Do I trade him? I've got a couple of decent free agent options if I did move him, but I'll stick with him.
Okay. All right. So is it me? Is it
Yeah, your last two picks now. I think in
my
it you had
last two
four and you
picks?
think
Okay. Well, my four, I'm going to stick with Pewell,
real options.
and my five, I was going to stick with Vooch, but seeing as you've taken Vooch off the table for me, I now have to trade Vooch. So I'm going to trade Vooch to San Antonio for Jakob Pertl.
He's at Raptors though, isn't he?
Oh, is he Raptors now? Is he? Well, I'm going to trade with Raptors then.
Yeah, he's a free agent as well, isn't he? Or upcoming free agent because
Okay,
he was
so I
on a
can I could
my.
actually technically keep Vooch, but I probably can't afford to. So yeah. Anyway, one way or another, I'm going to get Jakob Pertl in my fifth.
Yep, fair enough. So I've just got my four, and I know.
Yeah.
I've got two players in mind that aren't on the Bulls, but it's how do I get them? Right, I'm gonna go Jared Vanderbilt from the Lakers,
Hmm.
and I believe he's got another year left on his deal with Lakers at 4.6, or he was on 4.6 last year. So it doesn't take a lot of movement to get him. So I'd send DJJ,
Okay.
what's he on about three,
Yeah.
and Marku.
Mark who?
Yeah, exactly. Just as a bit of salary filler. Whether Lakers would do that deal or not, bothered.
Oh yeah, no, we
But
didn't go into whether or not the other team would take the
yeah,
deals. That would
yeah.
be far too confusing. Right. Okay.
So yeah, running down, I've rated Lakers quite a bit for my team, but my other option at the four was going to be Rui.
Okay,
He's a
Hachimura.
free agent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the way that the salaries were working, I could have got him in as well, but I prefer the defensive side of Vanderbilt. So
Uh-huh. Okay.
yeah, my team at one, Dennis Schroeder. Obviously at two is Zach. At the three, OG. Four, Jared Vanderbilt. Five, Vooch, and sixth man, Kobe.
Okay. So did you write mine down or do you need me to tell him?
No, I got yours down. You
Okay.
got Jaden Ivey at the one.
Yeah.
Obviously Zach at the two. Bojan Bogdanovic at the three. P will at the 4, Jakob at 5, and AC coming off the bench.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
So there's the teams. If you are following along, drop a team in the comments as well. Obviously, most important thing is you get the voting in my favour. And yeah, that's about as much action as I can see Bulls doing. None.
Yeah, exactly. Our theory is about as far as it's going to get.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers it for this episode, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does really. There's not a lot out there right now.
Yeah, as I say, we're both planning on watching the draft in the hope that Bulls do something. If they do, possibly something comes out from us. Whether it's a one-man video again.
Yeah.
Hence why you need to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll aim to be back next week with another podcast episode where we're hoping to have a guest. And hopefully a lot more to talk about as well.
Yeah, I mean, there should be more to talk about. It's just whether or not any of it will be relevant to Bulls fans.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, as usual, I've been Matt. You can find me on Twitter at MattCRedUK. You can find us on all the socials at CRedUK. Obviously, don't forget to check out creduk.com for all our latest written pieces. And also now obviously on YouTube at CRedUK.
And you can find me on Twitter at Neill CRedUK. We'd like to once again thank all our listeners for tuning in and all you subscribers and people for watching us on the YouTube video. Don't forget to give us the thumbs up on YouTube or the 5-star reviews on any of the audio channels. Do keep leaving comments on the socials. We do love the interaction, as Matt said, especially with these Matt versus Neill. We need to see what you think, pick your winner, give us your opinion on what you would have done, and we'll try and get back to you on it as well and have a bit of interaction that way. The Facebook group is still going strong, and do check out creduk.com for all the latest pieces. Matt's dropping the weekly bulletins. Sam and Brett are putting pieces up there, and we also will be having a piece coming on in the next week from one of our guest writers. Until the next episode, wherever you are in the world, see red, go Bulls, and remember, it's a Chicago Bulls thing.
It's time for the percolator.